We have a Fox Business Alert for you. The Grand Princess cruise ship is now in limbo no more, just docking in Oakland to begin the process of disembarking 21 passengers that have tested positive for coronavirus and thousands more passengers and crew members who have not yet been tested. Claudia Cowan is in Oakland with the latest. Claudia.
The Grand Princess cruise ship taking about 30 minutes to dock here at the Port of Oakland. Thousands of passengers on board watching the operation from their balconies, relieved to know they will be off this ship soon. But their ordeal is not over yet. Here is how it's going to go. The sickest passengers, including the 21 who've tested positive for coronavirus, will get off the ship first and taken to local hospitals. Then the remaining passengers will be transported to military installations in California, Texas, and Georgia for more COVID-19 testing and a mandatory 14-day quarantine. This is all happening at an unused shipping terminal. It's been used primarily for parking and storage, but has now been transformed into a 10-acre triage and processing site with scores of emergency and medical personnel racing to make sure everything goes smoothly to transport these people as quickly and safely as possible. Then the cruise ship will leave Oakland with the captain and crew spending their 2-week quarantine on board. This is a massive operation with a lot of moving parts. The governor says they hope they can pull it off in 2 or 3 days. But again, after 3 weeks at sea, everyone on board now facing a mandatory 14-day quarantine at least. Back to you.
Claudia, thank you very much. Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and member of the president's Corona Task Force, out with new warnings for travelers. Listen.
Right now, not wait, you should start to distance yourself from the risk. Crowds, getting on a plane, on a long plane trip, and above all, don't get on a cruise ship.
Well, now you have Italy locking down the entire country. Only essential travel is allowed and no public gatherings. Israel is also putting people arriving on international flights in a 14-day quarantine. So how bad, Zach, is this going to get for the travel industry?
Really, really bad. This is maybe 9/11-ish in the sense of everybody just freezing in place, sheltering in place to some degree. Again, whether or not this is a complete overreaction really doesn't matter insofar as the economic hit to things like airlines and cruises and hotels is going to be unbelievably steep for the second and third quarters. It may have a rapid recovery, but if past experience is a guide, you're really talking more like 12 to 24 months before this begins to come back to where it is now. And markets and investors and bond markets, all of it, really have to reset to that reality, right? We were expecting X. X is off the table, and Y is not nearly as good. So I don't know if we're going to do that this week. We will do it eventually, but right now, everything, JetBlue today just said, look, all of our guidance for 2020, we're just pulling it because we have no visibility.
Gary, are we going to see any kind of bailout for any of the industry? That includes airlines, cruise ship lines, whatever?
You know, we didn't have time. That was I was going to ask the congressman that, and I'm sure they're going to be talking about it. There's no doubt in my mind. Travel is gargantuan, and let me give this out to easily understand. The transport index is down 25% in a month, and that does not include the cruise lines. It does not include hotel chains either. That's more towards travel. So I would gather there's got to be a move afoot, because I have to tell you, this economy and economies around the globe is about moving things, not just people, but stuff. And if that stops, and by the way, the worst acting ones today were the rails. The rails were destroyed today. So I suspect something's going to give, something's going to happen. And yeah, I think we'll see TARP for transports here real soon.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, the rails literally went off the rails today. And your point about the transports is prescient. In fact, today was, to your point, down 25%. 10% was actually today. So what's really happening is this is accelerating as far as the market reaction, as you noted, Zach. So there's good news to that, though, because the market is going to discount what Zach said, too, which is we thought we were getting X, and now we could be getting Y or maybe Z. And the market is getting to point Z, which is probably the end of this whole thing. So the faster this comes at us, news moves very fast, the Italy news being most recent, that will hit the market faster and therefore will recover faster.
I would disagree with Zach that it's going to take 12 to 24 months to get back to sort of where we are. Already the airlines and the cruise ships, forget the cruise ships for a minute, but the airlines are giving out incredible deals to get people to book book flights for this summer. I know young people who are doing that because there's no cancellation fees. The cost
$200 round trip to Europe.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
And so guess what? I mean, we're economic beings, and if this thing is more or less resolved in the next couple of months, which I think it will be, I think you're going to end up with these companies coming back to life.
There are two parts to the equation. Number one, 60,000 people over 60 have recovered. If that number can continue to go up, that's good news. And the quicker we hear something from a big drug company or biotech company that they are onto something,
let's all
we
pray
will get
for
them
that.
fast-track city on it.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we have a Fox Business Alert. I want to show you live pictures of the White House briefing room where we were expecting the daily coronavirus update from the administration's task force. The vice president's seal has just been removed from the podium and replaced with the president's seal. Of course, that indicates the president's going to be addressing the media when this event begins. It's scheduled for about 6 p.m. It's about 20 minutes from now, Eastern Time. We will bring that to you live when it begins.